Today's like July 20th, and so I've been out of freshman year for like over 2 months. I'm actually still at BU. I'm staying here over the summer, so spoiler alert for the rest of the video. I like BU enough to stay here for the summer. I'm working orientation, so I'm showing incoming students kind of around campus, showing them the ropes and stuff. So I may have seen some of you around campus, maybe interacted with you. I don't know. Hopefully I was normal if I did. But like overall, I had a great freshman year. There were definitely ups and downs, definitely some challenges for sure. But I would say like I took freshman year and I kind of set myself up for success for the rest of my 3 years, and like I am so excited for what's to come. I kind of want to split this video up into a bunch of different sections, so if people are more interested in one topic than the other, they can just skip to that. So I'm gonna start off talking about academics, do like a general, and then I'll go into film, and then I'll go into business, talk about the campus, the transportation, housing, food, school spirit, clubs and campus organizations, social stuff, and then like advice basically. But if there are things that I miss or don't mention or don't talk about enough, please feel free to leave a comment or send me a message or whatever. I'm happy to answer any questions to the best of my ability, and if I can't answer something, I'll find someone who can. Before I start getting into specifics, I'm just gonna do a quick recap of like a little about myself. I'm a rising sophomore. I'm in the School of Communications studying film, as well as getting a dual degree in Questrom studying business. I transitioned from a small public high school in Massachusetts, about 40 minutes outside of the city, so that was kind of where I came from. I lived on campus in Warren Towers, and I think the rest of the context that I need to share will be conditional, and I'll share it throughout the video. But anyway, starting off with academics, the one big question that I feel like a lot of people have about BU is whether or not grade deflation is a thing here. I know BU definitely has a reputation of having grade deflation. In my experience, in both COM and Questrom, I haven't really had anything to do with grade deflation. I have heard rumors about grade deflation being real in some of the other schools at BU, but I can't confirm or deny that. Regardless of whether or not it exists in some capacity, it's definitely talked up a lot, and it's not gonna be as much of an inhibitor as it might be reputed to be. So first semester, I didn't do anything with business. I took the COM 101 course, which is like the introductory communications course that everyone in COM has to take, and then I did like my first year writing class and then like 2 sort of electives. And then second semester, I took 1 film class and 4 business classes. And I was definitely really worried about that, but it turned out to be not as bad as I thought it was. It definitely got a bit shaky around finals and midterms, but like everything went pretty much as well as it could have. And I ended up with grades that I was, for the most part, really satisfied with. I also found that I had a really good experience with the professors here. Worst case scenario, I just was kind of indifferent on a professor. Best case scenario, I absolutely loved them. Something that's really important to me within my education is having and building good relationships with professors. I think it makes the classes so much easier, and I felt that I was definitely able to do that here. A lot of students use Rate My Professor, which is basically just like a site where you can go online and read reviews of a professor for a class. I found that even if I took a class with a professor with a lower rating, I still liked the professor. So like for me, I didn't put too much stock into Rate My Professor. Overall, I would say the professors are pretty strong at BU, and every single one of them wants you to succeed. But now I'm briefly just gonna talk about the 2 majors. My biggest qualm with the academics here at BU probably had to do with film. The way BU is set up, they have the hub, which is basically like a gen ed requirement, and you have a bunch of different boxes you have to check. The way COM is designed, they want you to get all those classes out of the way first, so you can take COM classes later on in your time there. So like I only took 2 COM classes my freshman year, and only one of them was a film course. And I did really enjoy both of those classes, but I didn't learn a ton of new things and didn't get a ton of hands-on experience, which I was a little bit disappointed about, especially because I have friends at other schools like UCLA Film or NYU Film, and they're doing completely different film things. I definitely felt like what I was doing here paled in comparison to other schools. However, I know that the next 3 years are gonna be a lot more hands-on. Like for example, next semester I'm taking 3 business courses and 2 film courses. Even though the academics kind of don't hit the ground running right away in terms of film stuff, there are plenty of opportunities to get involved and get hands-on experience. There's BU TV, which is like BU's TV station, I guess. They have like over 20 different programs that you can just sign up to be a production assistant on. We have a film frat here called DECA. The way that works is you rush, and then each semester the frat puts on a production. Also, upperclassmen are always shooting different films and always need a production assistant, always need someone to help out. There's always something to do and always something to get your hands on, so there's no lack of opportunity to get hands-on experience. It was just frustrating that you don't get that through your classwork right away. But that was my main drawback with the academics for sure, especially in comparison to business, which I'll talk a little bit about more now. I actually really love my business class. Like my favorite class that I took all year was my finance class, which I never would have thought I would have liked. And I have like a very positive feeling about the rest of my time at Questrom. That's kind of all I have to say about the academics. I guess I can talk a little bit more about the campus now. Another question that people have about BU, or I guess a misconception, is people think that it doesn't really have a campus. I've heard mixed things about this. Some people think it doesn't feel like it has any campus at all. Some people think it has like a total campus feel, like totally blocked off. I think it's somewhere in the middle. Essentially what it is like a 1.5 mile stretch of COM that's just all BU buildings. And I guess depending on your definition of a campus, that may or may not fulfill what you're looking for. I did feel like it was a campus feel. Like, you know, you walk down COM there are all the BU flags, BU buildings to your sides, everyone's in BU merch. The biggest piece of advice I would have is like, you're gonna know whether or not it works for you pretty much right away. You just kind of gotta get on campus, which I know might be pretty tricky depending on where you're coming from. I think the campus was one of BU's biggest pluses. You have your own section of the city, but you're in great walking distance from other great neighborhoods. Like Fenway is right there, literally 2 minutes away from where I am right now. If you head over West Campus and you kind of keep going west, you'll enter Alston, Brighton, great area, tons of great food. Towards the south, you have like Brookline, and then off of East Campus, you kind of get into the Kenmore area. So everything is super walkable, which is awesome. That was like one of my biggest pluses here. I love to just like go out whenever I'm feeling stressed or like overwhelmed. Just go out for a walk. And then the last thing I'll briefly talk about on campus is the weather. A lot of people get really nervous about the winter. I'm from Massachusetts, so like for me, I wasn't that worried. And like, it honestly wasn't that bad. Like the cold and the snow weren't really a problem for me. We had like 10 days throughout the year that were like bad days where you like don't want to go outside at all. My biggest qualm with the winter was like it got dark so early, and I'm the type of person that likes to have a lot of sunlight. So like that did suck, but overall the winter wasn't that bad. You just kind of got to invest in one good winter coat and you should be fine. Summer here can also be pretty tough. The first like 2 or 3 weeks in August into September, like will most likely be pretty bad because the main dorms don't have AC. Okay, and kind of pivoting away from campus and into transportation, I made this its own separate section because there's so many different ways to kind of get around campus. As I said earlier, BU's campus is kind of just like a 1.5 mile long stretch. Something that's really nice about that is there's always a train running through campus. A lot of people take that to class or just take it if they're trying to get from one side of campus to the other. The thing that sucks about that is that there were certain times in the year when they would do construction on the T and shut it down for like weeks at a time. BU offers kind of like a transportation package, I guess. I didn't buy that, and nobody that I know has bought it. It is a pretty hefty price. Another resource that a lot of people use is something called the BU bus, and that's just basically like a bus that circles around campus that only BU students can get on. It's completely free, you just show your ID, you get on. I've only been on it a few times, but I don't really have any problems with it. I've heard that it might not always be the most reliable. It doesn't come like super consistently in terms of like it's not every 10 minutes. I know a lot of people use that, especially when the T would be down. And while there are great ways to get around campus, I predominantly relied on walking. I find that myself and a lot of my friends here kind of just like walk to class, even if it's like a mile. Like, you just set aside the time, throw in some earbuds and just kind of do it. It's nice. There are a few other ways to get around. A lot of people like rent electric scooters. You can also bring your bike to campus. There's bike rooms in a lot of the big residence halls. A lot of people Uber as well. I don't, just because it's kind of expensive, but if you're out late at night deep in the city, like past the time of when the public transportation kind of stops and you don't want to walk back, you know, you can like Uber. Obviously, I know a lot of people that kind of Uber to class too. That's something I would never do just because I can't afford that, but that is a thing that people do. That's kind of all I have to say about transportation. So moving on to housing, I lived in Warren Towers and I really liked it. Warren Towers is like a big dorm in the middle of campus. I posted a room tour of the double, and then I'll be living again there in the next year in a single because I'm going to be a resident assistant. Warren gets a pretty bad rap. It's kind of known as like the worst spot to live on campus, and I truly don't think it's that bad. It can be a little cramped. It can get a little hot in there because there's no AC during the summer, and it's an older building, but it's truly not that bad. I think the rooms were spacious enough. The location was great. It was great that we had a dining hall downstairs. I also think it was great like as a freshman to live there because it's predominantly freshmen, so you meet so many other freshmen. Freshmen typically live in one of two places, either Warren Towers, which is on East Campus, or they live in the West Campus dorms, which there are 3 halls. There's Sleeper, Claflin, and Ridge Hall. Between that and Warren, it's like kind of split half and half. I would say the West Campus dorms are very similar in quality to the ones in Warren. There's a little bit difference in the types of people that are attracted to each kind of living situation. East Campus is great because it's close to a lot of classes. You're not really gonna have to walk more than like 5 or 10 minutes to get to a classroom building, whereas West you would have to walk a little bit longer, like up to 30 minutes for the extreme sides of campus. Conversely, a lot of people choose to live on West because that's where the gym is and all of the athletic facilities. You're gonna be spending so much time on both sides of campus, especially if you have friends that live on the other side. I'd be in West all the time. I'd have people who lived on West in my dorm all the time. It doesn't feel as separated as a lot of people kind of chalk it up to be. And also kind of on the topic of that, roommates. So I went with a random roommate and I had a fine experience. I know a lot of people definitely feel like in a rush to like find a roommate online. Honestly, I would say like the people that have had the most problems with their roommates, surprisingly, are people who like pick their roommates online. I don't know. I have some friends who pick their roommates beforehand and are super close with their roommates, and then I have other people who also pick their roommates beforehand through the Instagram and like hate them and don't want to ever talk to them again. Random is kind of like more in the middle. Like, I haven't met a ton of people that have absolutely adored their random roommate, but I also haven't met a ton of people that have like hated their random roommate. You might not like your roommate, but like you learn to live with them. It's a dorm, like it's fine. And then finally, like back to kind of talking about Warren a little bit, a lot of people say that the dorms there are kind of like jail cells. I really didn't think that they felt like jail cells. Like I think the biggest thing for me was kind of just making sure that I made it like my own space. Like I just made sure to decorate it, fill it with stuff that I liked, and made it really, really comfortable, and it did not feel like a jail cell at all. I really liked my room. I'm gonna talk about food now a little bit. There's 3 main dining halls. So there's Marciano Commons, which is on far east campus, like towards Kenmore. There's Warren Towers Dining Hall, which is just in Warren Towers, and then there's the West Campus Dining Hall. There's also 2 smaller dining halls, which I'll talk about briefly. There is the dining hall in the Hillel, which is like a small kosher dining hall, and then there's the Fenway Campus Dining Hall, which is a bit of a walk from campus, and it's a smaller dining hall, but it's really good. A lot of the food there's made to order, and it's like not super crowded, which is really nice. The 3 main dining halls on campus, I liked all of them. In terms of quality, they were all fine at worst and good at best. Each dining hall had a bunch of different stations within it. So like, for example, my favorite dining hall on campus is Marciano. I think because it's the biggest one, there's a ton of variety, but like you have a pizza station, a pasta station, a dessert station, a grill station where you can get like burgers or hot dogs or quesadillas. And then there's like a sandwich station, there's ice cream machines, there's like a stir fry station, an international station, a salad bar, a vegan station, a gluten-free station, and like a soup bar. A lot of the stations will stay consistent in what they serve every day, and then certain stations like the international station will rotate their food out. So there's a little bit of variety there. Sometimes I could get a little bit tired of the food when they serve the same thing over and over again, especially if I was like only eating in one dining hall. As long as you shake it up between the 3, I found that it was like good food and I wasn't really sick of it. Moving on to school spirit. I think another preconceived notion that a lot of people have about BU is that there isn't really much school spirit, which I understand. We don't have a football team, which does kind of suck, but I would still say like there's a pretty strong feel of school spirit, especially when it's hockey season or we're doing anything against BC or Northeastern. The hockey games are so much fun and just like them as a social event. I kind of wish we had that with basketball and football. Even though we don't have those 2 things, there's plenty of other ways to get school spirit. We have like a big concert each year. Like last year we had Sexy Red come in, which was fun, and like tons of campus events. We have a whole campus activities board that puts on a bunch of different things like game nights, trivia nights. There was one night where it was like Legos and boba, and you went, it was free, and they just gave you boba, and then you could like build a Lego set, which was fun. And kind of on that same sort of topic, moving on to clubs and campus organizations. So freshman year, I was involved in a decent amount of stuff. I tried a bunch of different things, which I was happy about, and if I didn't like them, I didn't stick with them, but I was very happy that I tried all those different things. The 3 main things that I like stuck with throughout the year was I played intramural volleyball. I have a radio show with some friends on BU's radio station, which is called WTVU, and I'm the marketing director for a club on campus that crochets hand warmers for homeless people in Boston. And all of those are super fun. I met some of my best friends through those. There is something for everyone here to do. You just kind of find what that is and try your hand at a bunch of different things. Another big thing on campus is Greek life. So when I was applying, I was not very interested in Greek life. I didn't really want a school that had anything to do with Greek life. I did end up at a school that had Greek life. BU Greek life is really interesting because it's pretty sizable. I think about 20% of students are involved in some sort of Greek life. We have professional and social fraternities and sororities. You can completely ignore it if you want and like never really hear about it, but if you're into it, like you can make it your whole thing. And like It's really great. I have friends that are involved in Greek life and absolutely love it. And like I've gone to some events with friends in sororities and some friends in fraternities, and it's super fun. Like I'm really happy that I go to a school with Greek life now, because I think it's not a thing where like if you're not involved in it, you feel kind of ostracized, because that's not really it at all. If you're involved with it, there's definitely community there, and it's like super fun. The stereotype with fraternities and sororities is that there's like a lot of hazing, a lot of stressful stuff kind of going on that doesn't always sound fun. From what I've heard, BU is pretty laid back and like chill with all that, which is great. The last thing briefly I'm going to talk about is just like the opportunity to get jobs on or off campus. So I didn't have a job on campus my freshman year, but I'm gonna come back and have one sophomore year, and I'm gonna be on campus working in one of the libraries. Most people I know that have jobs while at BU, at least the younger people, work on campus. And the thing that's nice about that is if you work through BU, your employers have access to your class schedule, and the scheduling of your work will never interfere with your classes, which is super nice. Whereas if you work off campus, you might have less flexible employers or less flexible jobs or whatever. I'm happy that I didn't work my first year. I had saved up a lot the summer before, so financially it wasn't really much of a problem. And then I kind of had the flexibility to explore my academics and what I wanted to do socially, which I was really thankful for that opportunity. And now that I kind of have that figured out, sophomore year I can come back with a job and be able to fit that in and like know what I'm doing without stressing on either side of that. My biggest piece of advice, which might not be super helpful, but BU is what you make of it. That's the blessing and the curse of going here. Sometimes it could be so overwhelming because you have so many options of what to do and you just can't decide. I really, after getting over the initial anxiety, really liked that I had a million different options of things to do, because I could try my hand at things I never did in high school. And even if I didn't like them, I could just kind of move away from that, no problem. I joined random clubs and did random events and tried all these different things, and that was kind of where I made a lot of my best friends here, which is so great. Once I started joining things I was genuinely interested in, BU opened up in a whole new way, and I'm so excited for my next 3 years here to kind of keep trying new things and keep expanding my interests and stuff like that. Another thing I would say is like say yes to everything, especially in the beginning of the year. Like the first month, like everyone's kind of going to be looking for friends and wanting to try new things and hang out with new people. It can definitely be awkward to say yes to things, like especially if you don't know a person that well, but just do it. Like even if you don't vibe, it's fine, but like you'll have another familiar face on campus. There was stuff that I definitely didn't want to do or was nervous to do, but I did anyway, and it was worth it. Another thing too is like on that note of everyone trying to find friends in the beginning, like especially freshman year, everyone's coming into this new environment and everyone wants friends and everyone wants to fit in. There are going to be a lot of bumps in the road along the way. You're not going to be friends with all the people you meet first week, and that's okay. I think for me, I would always get caught off guard when I would get close with some people and then like not be as close with them as time went on. I think something I just needed to keep in mind was just like to kind of give myself the grace and realize that like it wasn't me or them. It was just kind of like the natural shift of everyone trying to find where they fit in. Because of that, eventually like I did find my best friends, and I can tell I'm gonna make like a bunch more friends, but definitely in the beginning like it was a little tricky and it was hard not to kind of get weighed down by that. Another thing I would definitely recommend is getting into a schedule. For example, set aside specific days where you get laundry or go food shopping if you need to go food shopping. Each semester I'd find the day that I got out of class early, and then I would be like, okay, this is my laundry day. So then I would go, and since most people were in class at that time, like the laundry room would be pretty open and I would never have a problem doing my laundry. Getting into habits like that and finding space to like fit in the tasks that you need to do is super helpful, because if you set yourself up for that earlier on in the semester, when it comes time when things are more stressful and you have more things going on, once you're in that routine and in that habit, like it's not really gonna be a problem. That pretty much concludes everything I wanted to say. I had a good time my freshman year, and I think the next 3 years are going to be even better. I'm really excited for them. And it can definitely be a stressful school. It's definitely a big school, and that can feel overwhelming. But you adjust to it, and most importantly, like, you just got to give yourself time, try your hand at a bunch of different things, and it'll all work out. I'm happy to answer any questions if there's anything I missed. Please just let me know. I would love to serve as a resource for people coming in. I know how stressful it was in the beginning, and like I came in with a lot of questions that I probably could have had answered if I reached out. So feel free to do that.